Are off and running. The Donovan Live Postgame Show on this Tuesday evening. I'm Dave DiNatale alongside Jim Donovan. A couple of things to get into here on tonight's show. First and foremost, training camp dates have been announced for your Cleveland Browns. We knew the start date was going to be July 26th, so literally 30 days away, 1 month away.
Wow.
You've got 30 days to get yourself ready, Jimmy. But we kind of now have a feel of how things are going to go time-wise. Going to be some like 2.5 or 3 hour practices. I mean, there's going to be there'll be some hitting going on.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah. There will be no orange and brown scrimmage this year.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. Typically, well, last year and in other years, they have had that down at the stadium. And it was always used as an opportunity to open up the stadium.
Yeah.
And a lot of kids on usually an early evening would come out and they'd have fireworks afterwards.
Yeah.
They did a good job with it. The other reason was they always wanted the rookies to get the feel of what it was like to come down to the stadium on a game day, game night.
Walk through the tunnel. Yep.
Yeah, get into the locker room, do that kind of thing. And but that's not going to happen this year, which is I don't know the reason behind that. I will say this: last year, I think a lot of people walked out of there very concerned. I don't think the Browns scored a touchdown.
I don't think they did
either way.
Yeah.
I mean, the entire night, and it was tough to walk out of there and say, "Wow, okay."
Like we're ready.
Yeah.
Do you remember the year? It was I think it was 2014 or 2015. They had it at Ohio Stadium in Columbus.
Yeah, I was down there.
Yeah, I was too with Bruce Hooley, and
Yeah.
that was just.
I was with you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You sat in, and you were with us, and that was just weird. It was. I know what the Browns at that point were trying to do. They were testing the waters of potentially moving a portion of training camp to Columbus to see if the city down there would build them a facility that could be used. I mean, I know what they were trying to do, but it was just weird being down there for that.
Yeah, it was. I agree with you. And they had a good crowd. Remember?
Yeah, they did.
I mean, they really did. It was a Friday evening, and they went down there, and they had a very good crowd that night. But you're right. There was a motive.
Yeah.
I don't want to say a motive to their madness, but I mean, there was a motive, and the motive was that they were going to go down there and they were going to, see how the Columbus market, which they feel, and I think they still feel this way, Dino, is up for grabs.
Yeah.
Up for grabs between themselves and the Bengals.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's dictated by, what game does the Columbus market pick up on a Sunday afternoon? Do they pick the Browns up or do they pick the Bengals up? And there's a bit of competition as far as that goes, but they feel that there is at times an untapped market down there that has money.
Yeah.
And so by bringing a thing like training camp down there, and you're right, they wanted a facility and everything, and they were pretty close to getting
Yeah,
it.
I mean
Pretty close to. In fact, a lot of people thought it's really in maybe weeks after that scrimmage down there that there would be an announcement that there was a facility that was going to be erected and built, and that the Browns would, as Dino says, would still spend a small portion here in Berea, but a larger portion down in Columbus.
It seems like, right now that's obviously off the table, but we haven't heard this discussion in a while about training camp, about, it seems like the Browns are content to continue to hold all training camp practices at the team facility in Berea and not go elsewhere. Like, we always talk about growing up. When I was a kid, I remember going to Lakeland Community College. Other people further back went to Hiram.
Right. Didn't they train at Kent State a little bit?
I think yes, they did. I haven't heard any discussion. There always used to be, that was always kind of in the back. I remember, people would ask Mike Pettin about that, and ask Joe Banner about that, and it was always kind of, well, we're kicking it around. I don't feel like that's being kicked around anymore. I think maybe the Haslam's feel like they've spent so much money on the facility in Berea, and people seem to have figured out how to get in and out of there with fewer problems than maybe in the past.
Yeah, they did a good job last year. They erected grandstands, but they also had some cover.
Yeah.
And we've been out there, okay? There isn't a leaf out there, never mind leaves out there. There isn't a leaf out there of cover. Yeah. And you could go out there and on a very, very warm day, and they were usually going in the height of the afternoon heat. And it could be very, very uncomfortable, okay, being out there.
And they're going to do the same. They're going to do that again. I mean, everything is either going to start at 2:30 or at 3 o'clock, just to let everybody know. Go to WKYC.com. I've also put a link here on our Facebook story. Everything's going to be like 2 or 3 o'clock until about roughly 5:30 or 6 o'clock.
I still think it's a great scene when you see all of those Browns fans coming down those residential streets and filling the streets, 10 or 12, across, coming down the street. It's almost like over in Europe or especially over in England when they go to these, these football stadiums, these soccer stadiums over there, and they're right in the middle of a neighborhood. Yeah. And really, I mean, that's where the Browns are, in the middle of a neighborhood in Berea, right by Baldwin Wallace, and that's a really cool sight when all the fans are coming down there. But, I think that this is the plan right now, and that they have found a way to put more seating in there. And they do a pretty good job. They have a lot of activities for kids off to the sides of the fields. They adopt puppies.
Yes.
I mean, which is great.
We like dogs.
I like that. And, they do a good job of that. So you're right. The chatter about, hey, let's take it elsewhere. Mike Pettin, took them up to Rochester.
Yep.
To scrimmage against Rex Ryan and the Buffalo Bills one year, and it. But I don't think you're right. I don't think that there's a move coming here.
Yeah. One other training camp thought, I guess I'd have to go back and see and check with like Tampa Bay or Cincinnati or some other franchises. Will Hard Knocks keep people away from Berea just in the fact that, well, wait a minute, why do I necessarily want to stand out in the heat if I'm able to watch training camp highlights from home on HBO every week with Hard Knocks? Although I would say, you want to be on camera, be out there and be where the action is. There's nothing better. But
I think the percentages are pretty good. There are so many cameras, you're probably going to be on camera if you go out there. I don't think so, Dino. I think I think people like to go see the day of it and make a day out of it, really. Okay, and that's good for Berea. And good for the Browns, and good for people. They take their families out there. I think people will say it kind of just adds to it.
Yes.
I was out there that day. Oh, look, this is what they're showing from that day. And then you take it, what happened that night after that practice? What happened in the meetings? What happened? Right. Did they cut a player? How injured was the guy that we saw go down during the practice that day? So I don't think so.
Yeah, I think if anything, it's going to provide a context to what you see out there and really be able to form, I think, your own opinion on how the Browns are going to be and if they're headed in the right direction coming into this season. So, again, Thursday, July 26th, 2:35 is your start time for the first day of practice. The Browns will go, I think, 5 in a row before they take a day off, and then they go. Basically, it's like every 4 or 5 days they practice, then they have a day off, and first preseason game is Thursday, August 9th against the Giants. So they'll have 2 weeks of practice before they play.
A lot of storylines in that game. Saquon Barkley.
Yep.
Baker Mayfield.
Yes.
Denzel Ward.
Yes.
Okay. Pat Shurmur.
Oh, that's right. Of course.
Yeah. There'll be a lot of storylines going into that game.
And that's a national TV game. That's a Which one's on
the Eagles game?
The Eagles game is okay. That's right. Okay. So, but that'll be worth watching.
Yeah,
it'll be definitely worth watching. So we'll keep an eye on that. Certainly, we got now a month away from training camp, and hope to see you all out there when everything gets started. Now, a couple of Cavs things I wanted to bring up with you. First and foremost, as we continue on LeBron watch, and no, we don't have any more definitive clue today than we did yesterday on his intention. But as expected, James Harden did win the MVP award last night. LeBron came in second. Removing the Cleveland hat for a second, can't you really make an argument that LeBron was more deserving than Harden? I mean, and that's. I know they do the voting before the postseason begins, but I mean, LeBron's influence on the Cavs is so much more important than even what Harden brings to the Rockets. Maybe it's just me, but I'm shocked sometimes when I see how LeBron over the last 4 years has been just sloughed off as the Cavaliers have made 4 straight trips to the finals.
Yeah, under the definition. I mean, if you go by the pure definition of the MVP and, how valuable is he to his team, yes. I mean, this guy played every game. He played an incredible amount of minutes. He didn't just drop in and play a couple of minutes in every game. I mean, he played every game. Considering what they went through all year, I mean, they remade the team at the beginning of the year. They had injuries. They had their coach take a leave of absence for a health situation. Yeah, I do. But I think Harden had been a runner-up, hadn't he, a couple of times? Or at least once.
Yes.
All right. And I think it's a scorer's league.
Yeah.
And he averaged close to 31. He was 30.4.
And it's a scorer's league. And it's a wins league, too.
It seemed like it was his turn.
Yeah. I mean, when LeBron got it the 2 years he was here before the decision, the Cavs had both of those years, like 60-plus wins in both of the, like in 09 and in 2010. 08 and 09, I think he was the MVP those 2 years. And the Cavs had 60-plus wins both of those years.
Yeah.
And so
I remember the announcement used to come. One of them was down at, I remember being down at St. Vincent.
Yeah, one was at St. V, and I think one might have been at the Jar because they needed more room. Either that or at the Q, one of the two.
I was at the one when he won it, and it was at St. V, which is really cool. Yeah, you're right. I mean, they had those amazing wins. The second year, the one that he won, that's the year they got knocked out by the Celtics, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was his. So that was because I remember.
In fact, they had started that series when it was announced.
That's right.
The Cavaliers. There's a story.
Yes.
The Cavaliers had rallied from 9 points down in Game 1 in the fourth quarter and put on a surge and came back and beat the Celtics. Then they had the announcement.
Yes.
Now, there's a story that there was a party after
huge
they
party,
had the announcement, and the Cavs played the next night and got just bombed. I mean, they got blown out.
Yes.
So
at
now
home.
and the series went 1-1. Okay, and then it came back to Cleveland 2-2, and then there was that mysterious fifth game.
Game 5,
Where they,
which is still like, I've never seen anything like that.
I remember,
but you're right.
Are you right? Do you remember hearing that there was the story that they had a team party and that they were out pretty late, and then the next night they came out and
it was like I want to say it was like the announcement was like on a Friday, and they had a party into Saturday, and then the game was on Sunday, and the Cavs just looked terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, they looked terrible at home in Game 2, and you're sitting there going, hello, where is it? Where were the 65 wins or however many they won that year? And it was the first kind of chink, I think, in that armor that we had, that something all was not well with this team.
Yeah. What if we said this? We'll defer and give Harden the MVP award for the regular season. We'll give LeBron the MVP award for the playoffs. And we'll let Durant still have the
finals
MVP in the finals.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be everybody gets it. Yeah, you get an MVP. You get an MVP. You get an MVP. Because he certainly, LeBron in the playoffs certainly. Harden, he
was terrible.
He was terrible in the end of the Warriors series.
Yeah, he was terrible.
I mean, and I thought LeBron elevated his play as the playoffs continued all the way into the finals. And until he banged
that board.
That's right. and was never the same. But I was just, as I was watching that last night and thinking about that, it's like, man, if you're, I know championships matter to LeBron, but he'd like to have 5 or 6 MVP awards. He'd like to get up to Jordan level on there, and you sit there and you go, man, what else do I got to do here to win that?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So that happened last night. How would you like to have been Dwayne Casey last night? You get you're named Coach of the Year for the team that fired you. I guess the Raptors did put a tweet out to say, "Congrats, Coach." I mean, that was nice.
Yeah. There are a lot of people though that. And I was listening to a lot of national shows today that did not think he deserved the Coach of the Year award. And also stated they did not feel he deserved to be fired, but they did not feel he did, the best job of coaching the team. A lot of people thought Nate McMillan did a great job coaching the Indiana Pacers. I mean, they traded away, they're forced to trade away Paul George. They do, and they come back. A lot of people thought they would be a 25-win team during the season. And here they are. They take the Cavs to a 7th game.
In the first round.
Yeah, in the first round. And let me say this, and I've said this a couple of times on our little get-together here during the playoffs, and that is that Sunday night game, Game 4, with about 4 minutes left, the Cavs are in trouble and ready to go down 3-1 until Korver got hot and hit a couple of threes. So Nate McMillan did a great job. I have to tell you, Quinn Snyder did a great job out in Utah. They lose Gordon Hayward. Now, I know he didn't play, but they lost him. Okay? And Utah, at the end of the year, Dino, in like the last month of the season, record-wise, they were the best team in the NBA. I mean, he's done a great job, but he's tucked away out there in Salt Lake City.
Like Brad Stevens.
Yeah, Brad Stevens. I mean, look at what he dealt with. He lost Hayward, and really, in and out during the year, he lost Kyrie Irving and then lost him and took the Cavs with 5 minutes to go in Game 7. Remember now, with 5 minutes to go, the Celtics had gone ahead.
Yeah.
Right? Tatum hit that dunk, and they were up. And, he did an amazing job. So the whole Dwayne Casey thing is strange.
Yeah.
They had the best record in the East. But the fact that they won, what did they win, 58 games?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, second seed.
But, I mean, they had won 50-something the year before.
Right.
So it wasn't a dramatic improvement.
Right.
So, rest my case.
Yeah, let's go. Defense counsel. It's your turn.
I want to throw out something. We're going to have this story tonight at 11. But have you read the Magic Johnson comments that have come out today?
Not yet.
Okay.
What
do you want me to?
Please.
Okay.
Give us a tease.
Magic Johnson has come out and very honestly said, I need 2 summers. I need this summer, and then I need next summer. And at the end of next summer, if I don't have free agents to come to the Lakers and possibly get a deal to get everybody together, I will step away from the Lakers.
Wow.
Now, what does that tell you? Because it tells me that this incredible dream that people have of LeBron, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard going to the Lakers, that Magic truly believes that's mission impossible. I can't get that done.
I was going to say if he's already talking about next, I mean that's the operative towards next summer. That tells me he doesn't think he's going to be able to lure multiple superstars to Los Angeles this summer.
And the sticking point to me would be Leonard because he can't get that trade.
He can't get that trade with Leonard, and I don't think LeBron goes to Los Angeles with just Paul George. I'm not sure he does that. He might, but I'm not sure. And if that sounds to me like he's not sure he can build a super team this summer.
Well, again, he said if by next summer, so he's asking for this summer and the next summer. If he can't have it done by then, he will. And he can't get it done.
Then he can't step away.
He'll step away.
Wow, the more doesn't it seem to you right now that more as we go on here on June 26th, we're now 3 days, until we're at Friday until the opt-in, and then obviously July 1st is when free agency starts. It feels more and more like it was a 5-team race maybe when the finals ended. Mm-hmm. I mean, I felt like listening to James Harden last night. If you heard James Harden was asked after he got his MVP award, hey, listen, would you like to add more pieces, i.e. LeBron James, this summer? And Harden said, hey, look, we were a half away from going to the NBA Finals. We're really good.
Yeah, we were 27 consecutive missed three-pointers away from getting to the finals.
Yeah. We were really good. So it didn't sound to me like James Harden was exactly putting the welcome wagon down there for LeBron James. And you mentioned when Chris Bosh signed with the Heat in 2010, I mean, he couldn't have been more like, come on down, LeBron.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's Houston right there. That just kind of sounds like, we don't think we can make all the moves to get LeBron, and Harden says we're fine without him. Now what you're saying here with what Magic Johnson is, the Lakers are all of a sudden kind of doubting whether or not they can pull this off this summer. I wonder if LeBron might just be staying here, frankly, by default, because nobody else can build a super team for him.
Yeah, but the thing is, there's not one here either.
No, there's not.
And I don't know what they can get done to make it even come close to being that. I mean, at least right now, he knows what he has here, and more importantly, he knows what he doesn't have here. So you're right. I think that listen, LeBron's a smart guy as far as this is concerned, and he probably really has it kind of played out with what's going to happen. It seems that way because it seems as it's going to be pretty cut and dry come next week, whether he opts in or opts out on Friday. But next week will be the time, and it will be next week that he'll make it known. The other thing is that nothing else is going to happen in the league until he makes it known. No one else is going to make a move until that happens, until they definitively know where he's going to go or if he's going to stay here. So, it's interesting that Magic Johnson would come out and say that because I think he's saying that even to LeBron probably. And the LeBron camp.
And so, if you come here, because we have this, the Lakers do have the cap room right now. They could sign LeBron, assuming he opts out. But, by saying that, hey, look, you're going to need to give us time. That's exactly what he's saying.
Right.
We may not be able to put the team that we think will be necessary to compete with Golden State until next summer. Are you willing to wait?
Yeah.
Can you put up with being with our guys for a summer before we might be able to string the type of team together you would want? I don't know.
Well, he's Magic Johnson.
He is Magic Johnson.
And we'll see what he can do. I mean, he could thread the needle and find an open guy like nobody else. He's the greatest point guard of all time.
Yeah.
And there is and I think he went to the Lakers and, Jeannie Buss, handed the keys to the franchise over to him. He tried last year to make it a different way by building on these young players. He realizes now, though, that he's probably going to have to give all those young players away to go down this other road, which is to try and get these super-duper players, these free agents, to come over here and sign with him and then get a deal done with a team that, with a strong-headed head of the franchise in Greg Popovich.
Yeah.
Who would trade for Kawhi Leonard right now, though, other than the Lakers? Who would trade for him if you can't be guaranteed that he's going to sign a deal with you?
Right. I don't think Danny Ainge would in Boston.
Look at Oklahoma City right now. They traded for Paul George, and all year long they've courted him and they've made him feel welcome, and he has said it's been incredible. But
Westbrook committed to the big deal.
Right, but he could leave in a blink, and then you say, well, why did you trade for him?
Right. Yeah. What was the point? Because now you lost Oladipo. You peddled Oladipo to the Pacers. You lost an emerging talent to play next to Westbrook, and now all of a sudden you don't have Paul George.
Right.
So Chris Paul is one of the wild cards in this. Let's say he's going to want to be paid big bucks. He opts out of his contract. He's a guy that, reading the tea leaves today, that LeBron's been wherever he is in the Caribbean making phone calls. Is he a guy that I think is he a guy that would be crucial with LeBron? Is he a guy that LeBron would want to take with him or to bring here to Cleveland regardless?
Well, like you say, I think there are a couple of factors. He really does want to play with LeBron, and he wants to get to the level where he knows LeBron can take him, which is all the way, but at the minimum to the finals.
Yes.
Okay? Chris Paul, for all of his greatness, and now a little bit long in the tooth.
Yes.
And injury prone, is starting to see the clock tick. Carmelo Anthony is sitting in that role right now, where I imagine he's just going to opt in and take the money.
Yeah.
Okay, but he realizes the championship curtain has closed on him, where it was wide open for so many years, and even connected with LeBron James. But I think that Chris Paul is saying, I think Chris Paul really wants to play with LeBron James.
I do too.
And I think he feels it would get him the best chance that he's probably ever had to get to the finals and win a championship, but just to get to the finals. And on the other side of it, I don't know about, do you pay him?
That's the thing.
He wants, they all want a max deal.
Right.
He's an question mark.
He's an old 33. Compared to LeBron, Chris Paul's an old, and I still think he's got 2 good years left. I really believe that, 2 elite years left. But would you want to pay him a 5-year deal like what you gave Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving before? Basically, because this is the last year he can do a supermax. Until because it's the Chris Paul rule till you're 38 years old.
Do it's interesting right now that none of the Cavs players currently on the roster are being quoted at all about what's going to happen. And I think maybe the last time that we heard from them was probably post-game of the Golden State series, and none of them said we have no idea. I mean, all of them said we have no idea what's going to happen. We have no idea what he's going to do. But in the weeks now separated from that Game 4 on that Friday night at the Q, you would have thought that one of them might have come out and said, I think he's definitely coming back to Cleveland.
Or, either I think he's going to leave.
Yeah.
We haven't heard that, I mean, Kevin Love is if you follow him on like Instagram, he's traveling. Kevin Love is all over the place. Tristan Thompson is dealing with Chloe and the baby. Nobody is talking and saying, I think nothing from like Kyle Korver. You're right.
No, and of course the other guys are so young, they probably don't want to have anything attributed to them. But the other thing is, you say maybe let's take them at their word or the lack of words. They don't know.
Right.
They don't know.
They don't know.
David Griffin was on a national show today. It was fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean, he's terrific. And of course, a year ago he's right in front of us. He still thinks there's a surprise out there.
A surprise team
not maybe a surprise team, but what a team will do.
Okay.
Like he still fears like Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Because they have so many assets and they have so much young talent. And I'll tell you what he thinks. He feels that Greg Popovich would trade Kawhi Leonard to a team like the Sixers because of Brett Brown, the coach of the Sixers, and he believes in him, and that's what he would do. As opposed to trading him to a team in his conference and a team he has great disdain for, the LA Lakers. Yeah. And he thinks there's a surprise move out there. And David knows his way around the block.
Absolutely. He has conversations. He knows all these GMs. He's had to deal with them.
You would say, well, would Popovich, if he really is like that with Kawhi Leonard, that he worries about where he's going to go if he's leaving his team, David said that Philadelphia really doesn't have to prove that they are not dysfunctional because of what happened with Brian Colangelo, that the coach has such a great reputation, and apparently he does, that would offset whatever happened in the front office, that goofy stuff with the burner accounts and things like that, and the wife and, her writing the stuff, that's all washed away. But as long as Brett Brown is there, everything would be okay.
They feel like they're good. Yeah. You imagine you have Ben Simmons, Kawhi Leonard, and Joel Embiid.
Yeah, and there are some other pieces there, that are very good.
Yeah.
That they got some good years.
They still have Redick. So you've got other guys there too. That would be if Philadelphia could pull that off. Then all of a sudden, they'd still have to blow up a ton of cap space to make room for LeBron. Yeah. But it's still then all of a sudden it becomes feasible. They become a contender.
Now the other thing that David Griffin said is that if there is a stall in the Leonard trade market, it's because teams in the NBA are worried about that injury. He didn't play. Would he play 8 games?
Yeah.
Okay. And they're saying that could be an indication that teams have done their research, their due diligence, as so many people say in sports now, and that they have come up with a medical report that says not healed yet.
Right.
Could linger. Not just a 6 to 8 week thing.
You know what?
And so David Griffin made some interesting points.
The Cavs got burned on that last year with Isaiah Thomas.
Yes.
And yes, he did return in January, but Thomas was not the player he was in Boston, to the point where the Cavs felt that they could trade him. They needed to trade him besides what was going on in the locker room. And Thomas played a couple weeks in Los Angeles and was shut down and is now, he's not going to make anything money-wise like what he would have made this time a year ago.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
By the way, the Indians are supposed to play in 15 minutes in St. Louis. Joy says it is storming in St. Louis and there's a tornado in the area. Sorry, Indians.
Yeah. And it was, an hour and 20 minutes last night. And they've had a lot of trouble with the College World Series
in Omaha.
They've had a lot of weather delays. They got rained out last night. It looked as though it was okay there tonight early, but that's in that pattern out there, that St. Louis is hot and humid and stormy at this time of the year. It really is.
Russ Mitchell country.
That's right. That's what made Russ so tough.
That's right.
And a grinder. on everything. There he is.
He was paying attention. All right, that's going to do it for us. More coverage again. Browns training camp. You can get the dates right now at WKYC.com. More Cavs information at WKYC.com as we continue to go through LeBron Watch. We'll be back with you tomorrow night. As we said last night, buckle up, man. It's going to be a fun 2 weeks here as we try to figure out. Jimmy will have more, by the way, on the Magic Johnson story tonight at 11, so make sure you watch that as well. For David Herverton, for Jim Donovan, I'm Dave DiNatale. Thanks for watching the Donovan Live Postgame Show right here on WKYC's Facebook Live.